Sit Siege community have you down? Are you finding it harder and harder to sit down and tolerate the in-game communication, for lack of a better word to call it? It's poor communication, but it's still communication nonetheless. Hey everyone, welcome to the Quick Sits podcast. I'm Marty White, the Unicorn Werewolf, and one of the things that I wanted to instill within all the unicorn werewolves out there is to be a part of the solution and not part of the problem. And you see, so many of us and it's no fault of your own, it's just the way that you're built. You're so good at detecting mistakes, you're good at detecting problems. You have a knack for seeing where something's out of place, and more often than not, you have a pretty good idea of what could be done about it, but maybe you're not the person that can actually pull it off. And whenever that happens, we tend to, focus in on that way too much, and it can start to cause problems. Your brain has this thing called the reticular activating system. So, and what that does is you're like, you tell it to look for something, and your brain's going to find it. So if you are like, what's wrong with people, for instance, you're going to find plenty of what's wrong with people. If you ask yourself, what's wrong with me? You'll find plenty of things that are wrong with you, right? In this case. So the problem is this, and then we're just going to move right on past this and start transitioning into solution, but I got to paint the picture of what we're up against here. People are dicks and assholes. People are dicks and assholes. It's just the way it is. It's the way it's always going to be. There will never be a point in time where everybody is cool, essentially. But here's what makes it worse for content creators, and like I was talking about right before I got into the actual podcast segment, was this is a response to the Logic Bomb podcast that was released yesterday, and the question that was proposed there was, what happened to the Rainbow Six Siege community? We being Get Flanked and Zeronic, who I'm big fans of the Logic Bomb podcast. I'm big fans of their content. Both of them have their own unique way of expressing things. And they were just asking, like, what happened to the community we grew up with, right? Because all of a sudden, all these pros are retiring, people are moving on, and all it seems like is left are these teenage competitive wannabes who are simply just toxic as hell, right? Like, if you make a small mistake, they're going to light up into you. They're going to highlight every single mistake you make. They're going to give mean comments on your content. They're going to do this, that, and the other, and tell you that your opinion is not valid because you're a certain rank, whether that be copper, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, even diamond. And it's like, you're not a champion. It's like, why should we talk to you? And in fact, I let that even personally hold me back from releasing a book. That still might come to fruition, but that's not really what I'm talking about here. The thing that makes it really worse is you spend your time creating this content. You spend your time serving the people you want to serve. You have all these good ideas. You have all these helpful tips that come from your real world experience, and you realize that maybe you're not the best on planet Earth at your particular game or whatever you're making content for. And all of a sudden, these people show up and just shit all over your stuff. And that hurts. I realize that it does. It's happened to me before. And you just start encountering the worst of humanity. And I worried about this for a very, very long time. I raked my mind about, why does gaming attract so many people who are so hurt that they have to tear down somebody else so they can temporarily feel better about themselves, when in fact they're just the saddest individuals, and that particular game on that particular day is all they have. All of their value as a person is riding on their performance in that one particular moment, because that's literally all they have. Like, either they're in bad health, they're in a poor financial situation, their relationships suck, 2 out of 3, or all of the 3 happening at the same time. And so the other day, in fact, it was like a week ago, I was playing this game on Border, so we're talking pre-Crimson Heist that just came out. We're still in Neon Dawn, so we're playing on old Border, and for you Rainbow Six Siege fans out there, I was Kaid with a TCSG 9, I think, the slug shotgun, whatever that one is. And across the way, it was like 3 versus 1, 4 versus 1. We had this round wrapped up, right? So the 4th teammate goes in and dies. The 2nd teammate goes in, who's Youre, and starts shooting a ton, right? And I'm playing behind half wall, looking into CCTV across the way, because, you know, the wall had gone down and my TCSG had blown holes in the wall across the way. And so I could see in there. And so I see Youre come in, and he blows his entire magazine, and the enemy is still standing. So I do a quick peek up on the half wall and see the guy, and pop him with 1 shot, and he dies. Now you would figure that people would be happy that we won the round. And keep in mind, too, this is also unranked. So there is nothing at stake here. Not even a fake, meaningless rank that has nothing to do with how much skill you have, or how good you are at the game, or how much knowledge of the game you have. It's just an arbitrary rank that too many people put way too much weight on. There's not even that. It's just unranked. So I dropped this guy in CCTV, and all of a sudden this guy lights into me. He starts calling me all sorts of names, saying I stole his kill, etc., etc., etc. And it wasn't even that he would have gotten an ace, like, which is another ridiculous argument. It was like, you stole my ace. It was like, okay, buddy, whatever. But in this case, he starts yelling at me, calling me all his names, and so I kind of took it upon myself where from now on I'm going to type instead of respond with voice chat, because I talk about how important it is to keep the voice comms clear of everything that's not relevant. So I'm not gonna start engaging with a person that's disrupting the gameplay in voice chat. So I decided I was going to, if anything, I was going to type. So I typed in, he was still on his feet, ... And then he said, and this is the story this guy was telling himself. Yeah, but I rounded the corner and I sprayed, like, I hit him like 10 times. Right, again, yeah, right. Or he would have been dead for sure, especially from Yoire's gun. He's like, that was my kill. And so I typed in and responded. I said, sorry, man, I didn't realize your entire value was based upon that one kill. I didn't realize this was going to ruin your life, or something like that. And so, I mean, this was definitely, like, he was in the wrong. He was being ridiculous. And if we're playing by gang rules here, if we're playing like Sons of Anarchy, and mine rules here is like, it's definitely time to start team killing, right? So the rest of my team starts kind of like, you team kill him this time, I'll team kill him next time, etc., etc. And I said, no, don't do that. it's not worth it, right? And so, like the next round starts, and the guy that was kind of the most gung ho about team killing this guy for being a dick was like, "Hey, watch this," and I said, "No, please don't." And so we go on to win the game pretty handily. I mean, the guy that originally started all the trouble said nothing the rest of the round. It completely shut him down. And that's what I'm going to review here in just a second, is how I did that. But more so, looking back on it, it's not even really the best way. Like, it's a good way, but it's not the best way. And so we get to the end of the game, and like I said, GG guys, and especially that guy, right? Like whatever his name was, I forget what his name was. But like, especially player X. I was like, it was because of your skill, and he did good. I mean, he was a fairly decent player. It was like, because of your skill, you helped us win, And he didn't say anything else, of course. I mean, he was done, completely shut down. So I just realized a long time ago that you're going to run into these people. And is this a Rainbow Six Siege problem? No, right? It just feels that way because it's the game that you love. It's the game that you're pouring your passion into. It's the game that you've sacrificed a large part of your life and time for. I know, I have too. I've been playing since the beginning. I started playing Rainbow Six 20 years ago, So I realize what it means to you, and it sucks whenever you encounter these people. And the thing about it is, you could have 99 interactions that were either neutral or positive, and then you have that one interaction that's negative, and that's all you think about. It consumes you. So I wanted to talk about a few ways that you can avoid burning out and losing faith in all of humanity, losing faith in your game, losing faith in your community. Because Get Flanked was asking over and over again, he was saying, it's like, where are the quote unquote casual gamers? And it's like, and he argued with himself a little bit about what a casual gamer was, in relation to like the hardcores and like those hardcore wannabe types. Like it, and Zoronic got into this too. It's either how dare you, fuck you, we lost the game because of you, this meant everything. Or it, whenever they mess up, it's like, dude, why are you even trying? You sweaty try hard. You're so uncool for even trying. It's like that's the person that we want to avoid talking to or thinking about, yet they're so prevalent in our minds. So I wanted to give a few tips on how to get past this, some things that I use, because I was very tired of it at one point too, and now it doesn't bother me so much. It does suck. I would rather maximize my game time, and I know you would too. But this will help you to get past all that and keep enjoying your game, keep producing your content that brings you great joy, and not let it be ruined and soured by others. And I would like to just give a Stewie Griffin ruined real quick. Okay, I've done it. So, number one, it's like, let go of your need to be right. And I understand, it's like regardless of your level of status within the community, you get challenged by somebody. It's human instinct to posture up and challenge back, right? Like that's where it goes. Like that's where your emotional triggers go. And you got to remember, human beings are emotional creatures. As much as you want to believe that people are logical and follow the evidence and do the thing that's obvious, it don't work that way. It just doesn't. People are very emotional creatures. So whenever you're challenged, you get this emotional spike of anger, of frustration, of disappointment, of all these things. And you have to let go of your need to be right, right? Like if you that's your ego talking. And if you have the slightest bit of, all right, I'm going to fight this person and I'm going to be right and that's going to make me feel better. Oh, that is literally shooting yourself in the foot. Uh, Even though that's you're like, this is the logical thing, what they're doing makes no sense, etc., etc. If you remember back to my story, that guy, whenever I said he was still on his feet, right? That was logical, right? That means that he's fair game. It's not like he was down and I stole a dude's down with like there's nothing else going on and it's a 3v1 situation. It's not like I accidentally took a down because I thought he was standing up or some scenario like that. The logical thing was he was still on his feet. He was still fair game. That did not matter to him one bit. His story, and story, you got to remember, stories make people emotional. Stories where I put in all this time and effort and bullets and resources to take down this guy, and I know I lit his ass up. That is my kill. I mean, he's like literally pissed all over it. He's taking his dick out and pissed all over it. It's his. Because it matters so much. Because he's got nothing else. So that's whenever I acknowledged that fact. That's what I did. My brain shifted from fight and logic to acknowledge and resolve. So, and it's kind of funny that it's even called the Logic Bomb podcast, which I understand. I get it. Like, logic is great. It's good. It's what people should do. But 9 out of 10 times, maybe more, it's just not what drives people. So I acknowledged. I said, "Hey, man, I'm sorry that," and I cut right to the stem of it too. I said, "Hey, man, I realize that kill meant everything to your value as a person. If I had known, I wouldn't have done it." And so, it wasn't like, even though I said I'm sorry, it was kind of a backwards apology. I don't think you should apologize if you were trying to win, if you were, like, especially if you're playing ranked or something. That, in my book, that's like a virtual handshake that you do your best, right? You do your absolute best, and I still think it should be the same way anyway, but especially ranked. Even though we're in unranked, it's still like ranked dress rehearsal. So and here's something else. Only you can control that about you. You can't expect other people to value it like that, like you do. It's only up to you. So you could see some other stuff going on. You could see what you might be interpreting as toxic behaviors going on, but sometimes they just don't know any better. And whenever you come at them with, why would you do that? Why would you reinforce here? Why would you put a rotate here? Why would you be doing this? And the answer to that question makes them feel like a dumbass, makes them feel belittled, makes them feel like they don't belong. More often than not, they're going to put up those dukes and they're going to start fighting back, right? They might do it verbally. They might do it passive aggressively with what they're doing. And here's the thing. It's not up to you to educate them in game in that moment. Number one, you don't have enough time. Like, it's just after a few minutes, like, you don't have time, right? You don't have the time that it takes to persuade somebody to do the right thing emotionally rather than convince them logically, right? Because they're right, right? In their mind, they're right. And people only understand the world because of their perception, their past life events. Everyone has their own filter of how they see things. And your filter and my filter and someone else's filter just will not be the same unless it's been like indoctrinated for a long time. So instead, whenever you see a teammate doing something stupid, is like calmly, and I say stupid lovingly, it's like They're just uneducated. They don't know. Why would you be mad at somebody else because they don't know? Or why would you be mad at somebody else because they're not as good as you are? Because you know, too, that you've been the worst player in the room before. And if you're consistently the best player in the room, if you're consistently the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And that's just the way it is. So don't educate. You have your content for that. And I know that you put out amazing content all the time. And I'm not talking specifically to Get Flanked or Zoronic here. I'm just talking to content creators in general. Because I know if you are taking the time out of it to do it, right, it might not be the logical thing to do right now because you might have bills to pay. You might need to work out. You might need to fix your relationship with your spouse, your parents, your kids, your something else. But you're putting out content about video games or whatever else is your interest or hobbies. It could be like quote unquote real sports. It could be baseball cards. It could be coffee mugs. I don't know. Like, it's all the same thing. You're putting this content out there because it strikes an emotional nerve, right? Might not be the most logical thing for you to do with your life. So instead, use it as an opportunity to get curious, to adapt. It was like, you know what? This dude put a reinforcement where he should have put a rotate hole. How can I adapt my strategy to make the best of this? How can I study the attackers and what they did to capitalize on that mistake instead of being like, God damn it, you plugged up the rotate hole. We're totally screwed. Why are we even playing this round? You see, it's like that's where you start to get upset and frustrated. And I know this because I have been this person. I have been there. I've done these same things. And I would just say it's about finding all in the game. Like, if you found yourself saying, I'm at the point in Rainbow Six Siege to where all I see are what's wrong with the game. All I see is what's wrong with the community. All I see is it's like you're focusing on the wrong things. You're good at it, right? And maybe you don't have a solution, but instead, if you just like look at a moment at face value and be like, this was something cool that happened during that. Now you have like match replay and you can go in and you can see what somebody else did or what they were thinking originally, and you can like see them change their mind and rotate to the other side of the map to do something because something happened. You're like, damn, that was cool. Or what an awesome shot he got on me or somebody else, or like whether that's the teammate or the enemy. Find beauty in it, like have that Spartan attitude of a beautiful death, right? You cannot be beaten if you have that. And curiosity. You're like, he reinforced where a rotate should go. He reinforced between sites. I wonder if we can hold this angle from underneath or hold this angle from above or hold this from here instead. And it's like, and I know that a majority of the time that's going to be inconvenient, is going to be off meta, it's going to have low chances of success. But if you get childlike curiosity about it, it's going to snap you out of these things. So that's a big one. And so start asking yourself, this is the next thing, start asking, it's like, what do I love about the game, right? I'm sure you'll find out a ton of reasons that you love the game, and it'll make you feel good because you're answering the right question. Remember, if you're like, what's wrong with me? You're going to come up with all sorts of things that are wrong about you, and you're going to feel bad, right? And it's like, what's right about Rainbow Six Siege? What's good about it? And talk on that and end on that, right? If you absolutely must talk about negative stuff, do it in the front, right? Be right up front with it. This is the problem. This is why it's really bad, and this is what makes it worse. And God damn it, God damn it, God damn it. And now here's what's good. Man, this awesome play happened the other day. I learned this. I didn't know this angle was here. This is so cool. Look at the awesome shot that this guy killed me with. Look at the awesome shot that my teammate did when he came back and clutched around. And this is when I clutched around and got an ace and blah, blah. Like, it just sets you down the right path. And it leaves with an open loop because, like, man, I want to do that again. And it gives you a good taste in your mouth for the next time. So you, like, don't, so you want to come back, right? And this is also, like, I know I'm talking about Siege here, but this is a metaphor for life. You know, gaming is a metaphor for life. Siege is a metaphor for life. And I'm making this content because I'm very passionate about it, because I've been everything. I remember back in Chaos Theory, whenever Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, Spies versus Mercs, I thought I was the shit. I thought that I was going to, like, go places because of Chaos Theory. I thought my entire value and existence depended on it. And you know what? I exhibited some toxic behaviors, and my friends who were around made it worse. You know, not to blame them, because sometimes I started it and then they kept perpetuating it. Sometimes they started it and I kept perpetuating it. But it was all because my health was wrecked. Financially, I had no idea what I was doing or was going to do. I had no backup plan. And my relationships across the board with my in real life best friend and my parents at the time were severely strained. There was no girlfriend, there was no spouse, there was no this, that, and the other. Like, my whole life was Splinter Cell Chaos Theory. And it wasn't until I realized that how good you are, it doesn't matter. It does not affect your ability to be loved. It does not affect your ability to be valued. It does not affect your ability to create amazing content and build a following full of people who will support you because they're fans of you, not your gameplay, right? They might be interested in your gameplay, and that's how they found you originally, but they stuck around because of you. And so that's where you get into true happiness, is like, what can you give those people and be thankful for them because they're there. I am one of those people for the Logic Bomb podcast, and I want to see both of those guys wildly succeed. I want to see myself succeed. I want to see all of those people who, like Get Flanked was saying, that play the game, they enjoy the game, win, lose, or draw. They're not on Twitter crying about balance changes every 5 minutes and demanding these things from the developers. They're the people that are giving it their best shot every time and going with the flow. And here's the trick. Here's the big trick. You must only talk to those people. When you start talking to them, you know those guys I'm talking about. We've spent a long time talking about how to deal with them. When you talk to them, you bring more of them around, and your brain reinforces it because you're looking for them to talk to. So it is what it is. And I know not everybody likes that statement. It is what it is, but you can't control other people. You can't control how they live their life or their decisions. You can only persuade and tell them what's in it for them. And anytime you make it about you and being right, you're not going to bring out the best side of somebody. And I got to tell you, Get Flanked asked, where are these people? You're looking at one of the people right here that you're looking for. You're looking for somebody who plays for the love of the game and will be there until the game's in. And that's what this is about. The Unicorn Werewolf community. The tactical shooter, fighting game, and stealth action. I got that out of order. Community that you've always been looking for. So, that is it for the Quick Sits podcast, even though it wasn't so quick today. Thank you guys. and I will see you next time. Be sure to pick up your channel guide at gearedupinsider.com/channel dash